This is Up for a Chat with your hosts, Cindy O'Meara and Kim Morrison.
Here we are, up for a chat about the hottest topics that are important to you, inspiring you to awaken the change within. I'm Cindy O'Meara.
And I'm Kim Morrison. This week, oh my gosh, we have two incredible souls, the amazing Callan Krause and Jake Stone. We are delighted to welcome you two to Up for a Chat. And perhaps in your opening, you could just give us a brief background as to each of you and why the listener needs to know why we wanted you on this show. Give it to us.
Okay, Jake. So for us, really, this is Callan talking right now, by the way. So really the story begins with Jake and I met each other at jiu-jitsu. And it was just another young male that I could we were both passionate about health, but we didn't really have anyone to bounce that off because it's not very common in the younger generation, like especially males, young males getting into health. Now it's getting a lot more common, but it sort of wasn't, this was like, say, 6-7 years ago. And we met at jiu-jitsu and he just goes, have you heard of Paul CHEK? And I hadn't. And CHEK's just a holistic health practice, right? But Jake actually battled a really heavy back injury. And I was actually very passionate about the body work because my father's very into something called Feldenkrais, which is the slogan is really awareness through movement with that. That's sort of the takeaway from that, which is really, that's what we do now, right? But Jake was meant to have his spine fused, and then he goes through the CHEK model, which is really just holistic health, right? Which is really just lowering inflammation, eating well, and really specific body mechanics and body work. He sort of opened my eyes up to that. And then I just went real heavy into that and started researching and YouTubing, and I was scaffolding at the time. So I was just watching everything on YouTube, studying as much as I possibly could without even realizing I was studying. Didn't even think it was going to do as a job. And then we just started studying it. We got a place together. We got a garage. We started taking clients out of a garage. And really that's just grown into a bit of a movement now, really. And a lot of people and a lot of following are behind us and inspiring other young men and girls to really just empower their health. So that's how my journey got into it. Really, Jake inspired me into pushing towards that. And then we just help each other grow.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself, really.
Oh, Jake, sorry, I was waiting to hear more from you. I just think you're underplaying, my friend. This is an incredible story. Feldenkrais, I studied Feldenkrais back in Melbourne in the late 80s. I cannot believe that you were just saying that. It's an incredible modality and something that brings great awareness to our movement, our structure and function and the way that we actually move our bodies. But Jake, you moved your body as a professional athlete, and I just think it would be really cool for the listener to understand your background and what led to that back injury.
Yeah, so my background was a professional bodyboarder. So for those of you who don't know what that is, it's kind of like it's like what you start off as a kid when you're in the whitewash and you're holding onto those pieces of foam and you're going on the whitewash. But that actually became a professional sport. And I just put my heart and soul into that from like when I was about 12 years old till 28 actually. But I had a really long professional career and became like 2 times Australian champion, and I think I got 3rd in the world one year or close to that. And I had a really long career, and I got to travel the world and see. I feel like I got my education from traveling the world and learning people's cultures and that whole thing. But the thing that was happening underlying that whole time was a back injury that was kind of progressing through my career, and I always felt like it was there. But 1 year in Hawaii, I went over the falls on a big wave at Pipeline and smacked both my knees really bad and hyperextended my spine, and went into like a scorpion kind of pose. And I just knew instantly that something was really wrong. And I spent 2 years pretty much trying to find, like a really long story short, I spent about 2 years trying to go to osteos, chiros, physios, anyone that could possibly help me because I felt so helpless. And mind you, my diet was crap. I grew up on Coca-Cola and fast food, KFC and everything till I was about 18 or 19. So I had no idea of what good health was. So I was told I had to get my spine fused by a couple of different surgeons, including one of the lower back specialists in Australia. So I was just like, no, something didn't feel right. My soul was guiding me towards finding something different. And I found Paul CHEK's work. I knew of his work, and I found a guy in Sydney called Donald Carr, who I rang him, and it was the first time I had heard someone go, oh, no, that's just there's so much we can do before you go get surgery. So I was like, all right, I'm all in. I'm going to move in to Sydney and just give it my all. And about 2.5 weeks into the stretching program, which is like fixes your imbalances in your body, my pain went away, and I just turned into one of those like crazy religious people that just like, oh my God, this works.
Just tell everyone.
Yeah, just like with a Bible running around bashing everyone. Just like, you can heal yourself. So that's how I really got into CHEK, was through my own pain and suffering. And then now I'm just so passionate, and Callan is too, about just helping everyone. And I don't think there's a better career where, like, you guys are the same. Like, you get to make money doing something you love, but you also get to help everyone, which is just such a good feeling.
Yeah, it was like throwing friends' microwaves out and shit. Like, when you first get into health and you just preach it and you're like, pretend like you've been doing it for 20 years, and really just pushes everyone away, doesn't it? So now you know you just got to live it, and then everyone else starts coming on board. But as soon as you start preaching it, it's like telling everyone that they should do it too. That approach never works, eh? No one likes being told what to do. It's like a funny thing.
Yes, and then by example, we may be able to influence our family and friends. So well done. And we do. We become evangelists. Like right now, I'm becoming an evangelist about the terrible lab meats that are out there at the moment, because I'm doing all my research on it, and I'm thinking, how would anybody think that this is okay? So I hear you. Yeah. I hear you. Yeah.
Oh, you guys have lived this for a long time now, and yeah, we're just trying to follow in the footsteps. So.
Yeah, and I remember
I'm still an evangelist. That's the issue. So, all right, I get, Jake, how you became the evangelist, or and I'm saying that with tongue in cheek, but for Callan, we've been talking a lot about curiosity and change and education and things like that, and sometimes we have to be in a state of crisis before we make that change, and more often than not, people won't make the change because they just don't want to. But what was the impetus for you, Callan, that got you to be so excited about what Jake was doing? Or was it just the evangelistic attitude that Jake had?
It was actually just being competitive, I believe. So my mum's super competitive, actually, in all sports and tennis. She's like still playing. And like I played pickleball with her the other day, and she's talking shit to me on the court and stuff like that. But it's actually just because it was like an edge to me. I just thought, okay, well, I trained MMA, so I was doing like cage fighting and jiu-jitsu, and for me, it was sort of just like, oh, okay, if I'm eating organic and my opponent's not eating organic, then I'm going to be better. Or if I'm stretching my hip flexors and balancing and he's not, I'm going to be able to beat him. So really, it started off as being competitive and just wanting to win, and then it slowly grew into just more acts of self-love, and now really it's grown into this longevity and seeing how well I can live my life doing this. But I guess what really lit it up, the passion again, is probably my father with the whole Feldenkrais stuff. Like my whole life, it was like, from all I can remember, I remember seeing Dad on the ground, sort of cracking his bones and moving around, and sort of teaching me I remember he always said, like, how many ways can you sit in a chair? And then we'd talk about how many ways you can do it, or like would look at people's walking patterns and gait analysis, and he actually didn't know a lot in terms of anatomy and where it is now, but he sparked that way of thinking, of curiosity. And then the CHEK stuff, what the CHEK stuff gave me was the assessment. So it's just a golden assessment of like measuring the entire body, laying tensions of the entire body. And then that mixed with my curiosity is almost, you start to create almost your own little system, and you start to just put two and two together and you start to see the patterns. So it's not about what, like they don't teach you give someone this for that. They teach you concepts. Like Jake's injury, for people listening, because a lot of you probably have this, was a spondylolisthesis. So his L5 had slipped on your sacrum, hey?
Yes.
Yeah, his L5 had slipped on his sacrum. So it's like literally a broken back. And the bones of the back is broken. The spinal cord isn't broken, but the bone's broken. So the vertebrae starts to shear forward and compress the spinal column. And if you hear that from someone that hasn't been taught concepts or hasn't been taught biomechanics of the spine, they're obviously going to think you got to fuse it. Like they're going to think it's a broken spine. What are you going to do? But when you actually learn about the anatomy from length tensions and like I literally think about it like engineering of the body, and then you can start to come up with exercises and stretches that would put that part of the spine in a better position and then stabilize around it and then lowers inflammation, so not pushing on the nerves. All that together is what gets people better. And I think that just excited me knowing, it's like the golden ticket. Like I realized all these other modalities weren't really looking into the diet side of things. And this is what I believe, right? Everyone comes and sees us for movement. Everyone comes and sees me for back pain or knee pain. But I still believe that if you change your food, that's the number one way you're going to get out of pain. On top of any stretch or what you bring it all together, it's going to be gold. But if you're inflamed, none of the shit works. And what I've actually seen, I'm going a bit off topic here, but what I've seen someone that was so tight, right? And you give them every stretch in the world and nothing changes. You give them every foam roll in the world, nothing changes. And then you clean their diet up, watch their inflammation drop and the redness in their skin too. And, from experience, you'll see that they're red. They'll have like red skin. And all of a sudden their range of motion goes through the roof because they're not inflamed anymore. So it's just, that's when you start to see these little patterns, and that's not quantifiable in studies, but I don't care because I've seen it a million times in front of me. So it's just like, it really empowered you. And I guess the answer to your question was me being competitive and my father with the Feldenkrais awareness through movement stuff is what it all stems from.
Yeah. I remember coming to you because I had hip problems and you, assessed, and then it was to do exercises, which I did. And then I went out into nature.
Yeah.
And I rang you and I just said, it's all gone. It's just completely disappeared, that hip pain. Like it wasn't chiropractic, wasn't helping it. I was doing everything with food. And then I did the exercise and it didn't quite go, but it was getting better. And then the minute I went hiking, I think I went hiking for 6 days on rough ground in Tasmania through snow and ice and rain and rocks and nature also, I find, does something magical. And it must be that deflaming, or maybe it improves the microbiome with all the spore biotics and the soil biotics. But people just don't get that it is the basics that allow us to get better. And that's what you're doing. You're giving the basics, which is let's get the structure right. Let's, strengthen those muscles and tendons, whatever else is around it. Then look at food. And you're right. I'm blown away that whenever I change something in my diet, if something's not quite working, my flexibility improves and I don't do any more stretching. So I love what you guys are saying. I love what you're standing for. I love that you're young men. I think I'm trying to remember how I met you, and I don't know whether it was through another young man, TJ Leeming, who's my son-in-law, or whether it was the Gentlemen's Club.
Well, I mean, we invited you on the podcast, and sort of that was the start of it, wasn't it? But we sort of, you were coming to the Gentlemen's Club, I think, and you were hanging out with Zolto a bit, and we were at the front there, and we just knew of you. I was actually watching your videos right when I got into it, like right when I just started. I was like, what's organic? Remember, this is also natural to us now. It sounds like it's this obvious, but you still talk to the average person and they don't understand. So we're so into it now that it feels so common, but it's not common to the world. And it's cool how you said that, like just connecting to your body, how you're connected to your body like that. And I think that's the big point. Like I had a grilled burger, right, about 2 weeks ago, and my neck felt so tight afterwards. And I know that when I start eating shit, my neck is where I'll feel it. It'll feel tight. And there's no stretch that's going to help that, So that's just a connection with the body. But there's so many people listening right now that wouldn't have that same connection, or when they wake up the next morning, things sore, they won't start thinking, what did I eat the night before? They'll start thinking, what did I do? Or, it's everything. It is everything. And that's what the really point we're trying to get across. And I think the big model that I want to take away, especially in my life, is like I want to teach people how to connect to their body with movement and food. And it's really fun when you combine the two. And how you're talking about with your hip and hiking, like that's a primal thing. We've done that for millions of years, and a lot of us aren't doing that. So you've obviously walked on unlevel surfaces, which turns on stability. Whenever you're standing on something unstable, that turns on muscles, right? Because it's like a falling reflex. So when you're doing those hikes, that's primal. And that's what kept us out of pain for years. So I think that's why it's so cool. Like people just need to move more,
Yeah, and ground to the earth too. Like that's just a big battery that just wants to charge you and fill you full of energy, but we don't do that enough. We're not in nature enough. And it's not just having your feet to the ground, but it's also just being around trees and life force energy out in the wild, which just lights us up.
Yeah, I feel like an Energizer bunny out there. I really do. I'm like, I jump, and I can't get enough of it.
How weird is that feeling?
Yeah, I know. It's like, just leave me here. Like, I've just done, how many days did I do? 10 days at Larapinta in the Northern Territory. And I just didn't want to leave. I just wanted to hang out in the desert and feel the history of the place. You know, it's 300 million years old, so I get that. Now, I have a question around mindset, because that's Kimmy's incredible knowledge. Do you do mindset as well when you're helping people? And I see a lot of young people in your gym, or I don't know if you call it a gym, a correction center, a corrective culture. I don't know what you call it, but I see a lot of young people, which gives me hope.
Yeah, for sure. I think like my that's my favorite side of the whole thing is more mindset, but also just getting people out of their mind and not thinking so much. A lot of my clients, I've had a lot of younger men, like say in their early 20s or even below that, and you can see there's just a lot of head noise there. And I think for me, going through the same thing, having a lot of head noise, understanding that you aren't your thoughts, for one, is just such a massive thing we're not taught these days. And if you go along with who you think you are all the time, you're just going to be flown around like a leaf in the wind, when that's the only thing we can really control in this world is our thinking. So like Paul said, I think he says, if you've got stinking thinking, you just don't stand a chance. So mindset's such a huge thing, and the belief that you can achieve so much in this life is just the most important thing I try and teach to my clients, because for me, it's been a journey of self-belief and into the unknown, and it's always going to be scary, but that's where the gold lies.
Yeah. And Jake, like, you can almost feel the yin yang between us. Like, he's done a lot of that stuff, right? And I went heavy into like the movement and just like the physical aspect of it all. But I'll get a client come in where I can see they need more of that, you know what I mean? Where I can see it's like, oh, this isn't going to be movement for this person. This person just has no self-belief, or, you know, like someone's kyphotic and rounded. That's an emotional thing too, right? And you can do all the exercise, but they're going to end up back in that position because they want to look small. Sometimes though, you can hit it that through the exercise. You can see how it empowers them and changes their emotions, right? I remember my dad used to say to me, he's like, try and force a smile and try and be unhappy or something like that. and you just start laughing, you know? So that's sort of that representation of you change your body. It does in some sense change the mind, which is I guess you get someone working out and they start looking better, they start feeling better. But that's when I'll sort of call Jake in for those times and like, yo, do you have advice for this person? Because he was the one that sort of opened me up to all that side of things, all the Eckhart Tolle and the Alan Watts. And I didn't know of any of that. You know, I didn't know of any of these gurus. Like, I didn't know what a guru was. Never heard of that. It was all just TV for me growing up. And everyone else. It was just, you know, that's the good thing about the internet these days, right? There's pros and cons, but, you know, there's YouTube. There's a lot of good stuff on there as much as there is bad stuff. And you're not seeing any of that stuff on TV. So it's really gold that I guess a lot of those mentors, I've just come from YouTube. And I wouldn't say I've had a lot of mental health problems, or like, I went to, I guess, for a little pit stop, but everyone wants to talk about is like, when I was younger, it was funny because now we're all health, right? But I went through a party stage and I got caught with drugs, and I got sentenced to 2.5 years in prison, but I served 7 months of that. And that was at maximum security at Woodford locally. And even then, mentally, I knew I was going to be all right. You know what I mean? It was like, even when I was going in, it was all scary and fearful. I can trust my mind. I've always been able to trust my mind and knowing that I'm going to be all right. Like, no one's going to hassle me too much. And I just always had that like mindset. I don't know where from really, but it just like, I always trusted that it's going to be good. I guess that's from my dad, because he's a pretty, I've never really seen him unhappy. And
yeah, don't you reckon the weird thing is with mindset, like, it's really, especially in Australia, I feel, and in the Sunshine Coast, it's really hard to step outside the box as a young male. It was always not cool. And we've talked about this a few times. It's like, we've got to make it cool. We've got to make it cool to be able to just be who the fuck you are, and not hide yourself from everyone, and not hide your desires, and not hide the true self, the true juice that's inside yourself. And that's man, I just get lit up when I think of that, and that's why I think mindset's just such an important thing to talk about.
Yeah, just having confidence is okay. Yeah, it was always like, you never can say you're good at something. You know, people try and bring you down, especially here in Australia. You know, so so it's just that's a bit of that anyway.
You guys are both singing the words and praises of what we both believe in. But, you know, there's been people before us, beautiful mentors, people like Bruce Lipton with the biology of belief, where he looks at bringing science together and almost going into a quantum physical realm where we understand that the genes and the DNA do not control our biology. And therefore there's outside influences as well, our lifestyle, the environmental things we put into and onto our bodies. You've mentioned one of the most critical thing too. One is food and one is movement. Obviously, third is mindset. When you get the trifecta right, could you give us some examples perhaps of people that have come in maybe a little bit negative Nancy, maybe they didn't believe in it, maybe they were forced to come to you? Has there been any stories where you've actually just so beautifully blown away by their mind, body, and perhaps even their spirit?
Yeah, I would say we just employed a videographer for Corrective Culture, and he was one of my very first clients, like, in the first 15 to 20 clients. And he was just a not very confident kid. He's only 22 now, so I think he was about 19 at the time, but he was just so not confident. I remember we were just having the most beautiful, like, big chats, like really deep stuff. And it's crazy to see how far he came. He had like a bulging, like thoracolumbar kind of spine kind of coming out, and we worked on that. We worked on his posture and a lot of tonic stuff. So I saw his body transform. But now, 3 years down the track, like, I just cannot believe how proactive and like he's amazing. Eh?
Yeah, he's a man.
He's like,
and it's
crazy.
So unique.
He's the hero now. Like he's embodying the hero's journey, and for me, that's just like. Just is so cool.
Yeah, and I've had I had a guy that was pretty cool. Like, I've had two people. Really, I find a lot of the clients, they really jump on board, and they sort of change their whole life. You know.
Yeah. Sure.
Had a guy that was on 3 years of painkillers. I remember this, and he his daughter actually died. So, and if we go into the metaphysical, he had left side of the body, but he had a labrum problem on his left hip, and he was pretty down. He didn't go deep into it, but like, I had the suicidal sort of vibes of how he just had no quality of life anymore, and he was sick of the pain and surgery. That's talking about surgery. And after the first session, he got out of pain and never came back. And it was, you know what it was for him? It was actually getting a ball in his glute, because it was externally rotating his femur and levering the femur into his labrum. Super simple, right? But the system's not taught to look at postural dysfunction. So it was clear on the plumb line. His left leg was so externally rotated. And it's funny, I listened to a podcast like a week before it talking about it, and then he walks in, you know. But that was a big one. And that one, a huge one, was I had a little girl. This was for me to really believe in the work. I had a little girl that came in a wheelchair, and she had a blood clot in her lumbar spine, super past my pay grade at the time, right? But I believe the universe, they send you people for a reason. And she was actually, a cool story, she was my scaffold boss's daughter, right? So I was still scaffolding at the time, just like a couple of days on. And he was a good boss. So I worked hard for him. So he let me take days off to do clients, but still be one leg in, one leg out, so I could still make money with my old job. And since he supported me, and that's where another thing, like, when you work hard for someone, even if you don't like the job, it works out for you, because he would have sacked me otherwise and said, I'll get someone else. But since he wanted to keep me, he let me do whatever I wanted, because he wanted 2 days of me is better than none, you know? So his daughter, ended up being his daughter, and is at the hospital, and some people told her she may never walk again. The whole hospital, they did like a big conference call and say, we don't know what's wrong with this girl, because they didn't have a test for it. They don't know. And she was just broken. And when she walked in, and there's a video deep on our Instagram, you can see it, but she walked in like a real broken girl, like dragging her leg, her thoracic rotation, which means like she couldn't turn her ribcage left and right more than about 20 degrees. It was so limited. And that's what walking is, right? And the local physios at the hospital, and you got to remember, there's ones at the hospital, they're just sort of getting paid no matter what, right? So the passion's not going to be there as much. And she was like, they gave me lunges, and she obviously couldn't lunge, and trying to give her squats and lunges. And then I asked her, because she had a blood clot, the doctors told her she had thick blood, right? And this is a whole hospital told her she had thick blood. And I was like, thick blood? And I was like, do you drink water? And she was like, oh, not really. I probably drink a glass a day or a glass every couple of days. So this young girl wasn't drinking any water, right? No one asked her that question. They just told her she had thick blood. So I just got her drinking water and got her on some like real basic stuff and then real basic movement. And it was actually a Feldenkrais movement, which is so funny because I always rejected Feldenkrais my whole life because my dad was just preaching it, you know? So I was like, I don't know any of it. But there was one Feldenkrais movement that I knew was perfect for her that helps with gait and walking. And then 2 weeks later, she basically walked in and was about 80% better. And then a couple months later, she was like 100% better. But that was huge for me. That was a huge moment for me knowing, oh, okay, why is no one else asking these questions? You know, why did no one else drink water? You know, and that changed her whole life and it changed her family's life. And they all started eating organic. And that's been 1 million people now. There's been so many people that the whole generation of them changes. Their kids change, their friends change, you know, It's like,
it's cool. It spreads like wildfire.
Yeah. And all the people working out of this gym were old clients that changed their careers, quit their jobs, started studying, and now they're doing well, doing what we do, you know, just so they were so inspired from when they worked with us.
Can we go back a little bit to Paul CHEK? I mean, I was working in a physio clinic in New Zealand with the All Blacks physio, and he was in New Zealand at the time. I got to go and listen to him, got to see him do his thing. He was phenomenal. He was a trailblazer of his time. And I remember at that point, I don't know if he still does, but it was very much around using the medicine ball, using your core, and very much around being aware of your body. Has things changed, or has he evolved further from that, or where have you taken that information?
Yeah, so that's what we fully embody. Like his basic work, like his whole structure is what we started with. He's very much evolved into metaphysical. Like he's writing a book at the moment all about the metaphysical and how the soul works and everything like that. So, and the spirit works. So he's definitely like evolved that, but he still runs the CHEK. He's part owner of the CHEK Institute. So, so he still runs all that and teaches, and all the courses are still all the same. Yeah. So
it's still all that Swiss ball,
still
bodywork stuff, core. Yeah. But just talking about it back then, it's talking about gut microbiome like 30 years ago or something.
I feel like he was so ahead of his time. Even with the stuff that we learn now with the body and the core, like it's still not being taught.
Yeah, so. and you take those concepts from him, and then I just blend in other stuff that I find, and it's just the concepts are gold though. That's what I like to take from anyone, like just their main concepts, and that's what evolution is, right? Like their whole life's work. You take the 4 main things, and then you grow with that, and it becomes your life's work, and then you harness that, and it gets even better and better and better. But it's just it was just gold. Yeah, it's basically real thing is just connecting to your body and owning your shit, and that's what I really resemble as a man. Is like I really like it. Empowers me knowing if I got pain, what did I do to get that? It's not unlucky, right? What did I do? What choices did I make to get that pain, whether that's emotional pain or pain in my relationships or pain in my body? Like it's just a pain teacher.
Yeah, you don't become a victim of your situation. You say, why did I attract that, rather than why did that happen to me?
Yeah.
But the problem with this planet or humanity is that they don't want to take responsibility. They want to lay blame. And too little people think like you think. They think that the world owes them, that the world is to blame, that person over there is the problem. So how did you move from that? Well, I don't know if you ever had that where you didn't take responsibility for who you were, but how did you both change from not taking responsibility, if you didn't, to taking responsibility? Callan, do you want to start that one?
Yeah, literally just through the teachings through the CHEK Institute of I guess the pain teacher concept for me was massive, and that's probably my biggest takeaway from the whole thing that I really want to drill into the world is like that whole concept of the pain teacher is just it's a time to reflect, and I like that because it empowered me. So anything that empowers me makes me feel good. So I'm going to be attracted to that. And that's that competitiveness in me, I guess, or something, that sort of masculine energy. But it's like, it means I can change it. You know, that's what I like. Instead of I got to go see someone to fix that or see someone to do this, And obviously you got to see people to get education and help, but it's still nice knowing like, oh, okay, like why is my shoulder hurting? You know what I mean? Like, what am I doing for my shoulder to hurt? You know, and what choices am I making for this shoulder to hurt, or if it's bloating or whatever it is. It was just through that, just being taught that. But because I did have that almost, we all do, right? Part of us is in it, but I did have that victim sort of mentality. It wasn't strong, but it's still there. You know, it's still those archetypes that's deep in there, and I guess that's part of my family a little bit, where they'll like deflect it. You know what I mean? Like if I ask my mum, say if I go to my mum, or like you're eating the veggie oil in this pantry, she'll just start saying she's not, but it's still full of veggie oil. You know what I mean? And that was still in me. But just having a man tell me that, and I guess it was important for a strong man in that stage of my life, because I was obviously doing MMA pretty hardcore at the time, so that was what I was attracted to, all that sort of like masculine sort of stuff. So seeing someone like Paul, who's a jacked man, talking about love and the soul, but also lifting weights and still throwing a punch, it was a nice balance. I wasn't used to. I was only seeing the guru guy that didn't train and was a bit overweight, talking about love and the spirit, but not doing any push-ups. You know, like that's what I want to be in myself, and that's what we want to be. We want to be. I don't have to be the guy on the hill praying. I can still be doing my best spiritually to just be sound within myself and my relationships, but also look after my body and also make money. You know, it's not like you can have it all. You know, you can have it all.
That's so true. You can have it all. It's like there's no rules.
Yeah.
What do you want? What do you want in life?
Yeah.
I want to talk to you both a little bit. You mentioned it briefly, the hero's journey, Joseph Campbell's work.
Yeah.
We all go out on this call to adventure. We go beyond the threshold. We know we can get helpers and mentors that help us through the traverses and the dragons and the slaying of them and all of that. We cross the abyss. I think we then move into transformation. There's treasures. We've got the atonement, and then return. We're never the same person. I want to ask you both, who have been your greatest mentors or supporters for you to traverse through the abyss? How have you got through that? Who have been the key people that have supported you both or inspired you both?
Yeah, definitely Paul CHEK. I know I've mentioned him a lot, but for me, he absolutely saved my life. Like Callan, I was going down a physical journey, and it turned into a very mental, emotional journey, dealing with my mum dying and stuff like that. And then from there, I would say Ram Dass was just like, his name's Richard Alpert, who was a Harvard professor, and he went and studied Buddhism and did a lot of meditation, and I just really, he's helped me more than anyone. Like I actually feel him so close to me whenever I need an answer. He gives me answers. It's just incredible. So he would definitely be at the top, and then I'd say Paul CHEK very close second for me.
Yeah, for me, obviously Paul. That started it all for me, right? And just giving me Paul opened up the eyes to all these other people too, like look into all these other people. And then for my like craft and work, like we have Susie Neville. She's a physio in Auckland actually. She's one of our mentors, and she really helped for me. With the body stuff, like it's all very confusing, right? And we've done a lot of mentorships and learnt a lot of stuff from different people, but she really helped polish it for me in teaching the concepts of the anatomy. She really helped clean up my anatomy. That really boosted my confidence with what I'm giving someone instead of just random stuff, to a level that I'm not used to. That's very hard to find. So I'd say Paul for sure for just initiating it, and then Susie Neville for just helping give me confidence in my craft. To know that we're good, you know.
And I feel like we have to mention you, Cindy, because without you, meeting we had with you, like our life has just changed so dramatically with your helping hand from the first time we sat down and had that meeting, and you helped us create our products. And we're so grateful. Like you're right up there.
Without that, like you got to think about this, right? Without that, our life's completely changed. You know what I mean? It's given us freedom. Like we're going to travel the world and teach this stuff. And now we have a passive income to be able to do that, which is insane. You know what I mean?
It's like it's our dream life. Like,
we're living the dream life, and there's no going back. And the funny thing is, we were like, man, we just need someone to come at us.
Yeah, we're asking the universe
for it. And then like legit, this always happens. Right?
Yeah,
always.
Within like a week.
Within a week, you sent me a message. I was like, oh, this is it. This is it.
Well, you manifested. That's what you did. You manifested. You asked the universe. You let it go for the right person to come to you. And I'd been thinking about it for quite a few weeks, because I did your program and then purchased other products that you recommended. And I thought, why are these guys selling somebody else's product? They're still in the road. So yeah, I was so happy that I didn't know whether you'd be open to it, and then boom, you guys were. So you manifested me to come along, just like I manifest people to come into my life, or Kim Morrison came into my life because I lost my sister.
Yeah.
And she just entered in. Stage right, my sister. Stage left, Kim Morrison.
Yeah. God, I couldn't think of anyone better.
Oh, can I just add something really freaky here? Susie Neville, I worked with in the All Blacks physio clinic.
No way.
No way.
I know Susie. Her and I used to hang out. She was amazing, unbelievable soul.
Oh, yeah, I love her.
I just want you to know that there's no 6 degrees of separation. Is there?
Yeah, how trippy is that? Me and Callan see her like every 2 weeks. We do a mentorship call each with her. Like, we love her. She's helped us so much.
Well, you're going to have to say hello from me now.
Oh,
yeah, she did it. She flew here and did a workshop a couple months ago.
Oh, we should have.
Yeah, should have told you.
We didn't know. Yeah,
didn't know. Yeah.
Well, looking at you guys and the help that Cindy's given you to take your business to another level, a lot of people, young people, are really enthusiastic about their businesses, what their passion is, how they want to share their story. But I just want to congratulate you both, because you both come from not a making money necessarily profitability, which is a very important part of business, but the heart, the essence of what you do. But there's strategy around what you're doing. So I'd just love you to tell us a little bit about your business model and exactly what the products and programs are that you offer, so that anyone listening can reach out to you.
Yeah. So I guess our main thing, obviously, that Cindy helps with is the parasite cleanse. And just so you know, for that was just a PDF that we didn't even plan on selling. Someone that was working with us, like, just chuck it up in the store, because it was for our clients. Because we just know that in the CHEK system, parasites are a big thing. And the world will find out about that probably in the next 10 years. And as Cindy knows, like, God, the amount of worms and tapeworms and liver flukes that people send us every day is insane, you know? So that just all real organically grew. Like, we still haven't done one paid ad. We're actually about to do that now.
Yeah.
So the parasite cleanse for us really is, it helps clean parasites out. But I think a lot of the other parasite cleansers out there, they're just focusing on the products. And the products are just such a small part of it, right? Because you'll shit out worms, but then they'll just be back there. So I think with ours, it's so huge, because really it's just cleaning up someone's diet, lowering inflammation. So I put every client on it, because I know that really they're eating clean for the first time in probably a long time. No veggie oils, no excess sugar, just no shit for 4 weeks. And not a lot of people have done that, you know, not even no coffee for 4 weeks. Like, you know, I'm fine with coffee, but I know when it's time to have a break sometimes too. Like, I think if you have a headache without it, that means something. It's time to have a rest once in a while. Nothing every day except water. And so the parasite cleanse, and then we have an online posture program, which is basically for back pain and postural correction. So we get people. Someone wrote in recently that, like, long-term back pain it got rid of, and neck pain, and this is what, like, that guy with the hip issue, if he just did this online program, it would have sorted that too. But that's basically that online posture program. Is we always focus. And this is a concept for anyone listening, to balance your body. I think that the world will take on and will grow in. We always start with hydrating the tissue with tissue work, which is a massage, right? And how good does a massage feel? But it's really nice when you know how to give it to yourself. And when you know how to do the entire body with little balls and tools, and you got all the tools at home, you got it for the rest of your life, that's a really empowering thing, right? And some people, you'll find a release that just changes your whole way your hip feels, or your shoulder feels, or whatever it is. And then we do specific stretching, very specific, that would... You don't get too stretchy, right? You don't get too tight either. So in the certain spots, more so to free out the pelvis and forward shoulders and the basic looks. And then it's long time and attention stability exercise. And that's a big missing link too, right? Say you get someone wants strong glutes. It's not all about just having a big bum and doing squats. It's about long time and attention static type 1 fiber, which is endurance postural fiber, to stabilize your body, because that's what standing is all day long. That's what most tribes, that's what most primal living is, right? That's what Cindy walking through the bush, that's all long time and attention stuff. That's not her pumping out 100 squats, you know what I mean? So that's what really stabilizes joints, and that's what gives you the endurance to hold that form all day long, so you don't have to think about stand tall with your shoulders back. They'll naturally be there because you've trained that in for a long endurance time, not 3 sets of 6 or whatever. And it's hard work. Let me tell you, for people listening, if you're going to do that, it's not easy, but nothing good is, right? And it works really well. So, and we also have other products like We got the vitamin C. We got stuff that we just
gelatin,
cacao.
And the most exciting thing is our new products that are nearly coming out soon, which is going to be called King and Queen.
Yeah,
I remember I spoke to you about, Cindy, a while ago.
Yeah, real pumped for that. It's actually testicles and liver and some activated pumpkin seed for the magnesium and zinc for the men, and then uteral tissue and liver
pumpkin seeds
for the females. But it's just because I don't think we're getting enough of those sex organs in our diet, and we're going this just off anecdotal. Is that your story, man? When you had the testicles that time, tell them that story.
Yeah, so I had the testicles just to try it out, and I just woke up with erections like all night. Like, I couldn't sleep. And then I was like, maybe I've taken too much.
Yeah, and how's this? I gave it to my friend, right? I gave my friend, and I guess he was a little flat for a while, and he had 2 wet dreams 2 nights in a row. So if that's not a signal from the body, tell me what is, of fertility.
But also it's been used in Native Americans used to give bovine testicles to young men who couldn't have children, and it would fix it. So that's kind of where the idea came from. And I was like, okay, we don't need too much of that in every day, but if we can add a little bit. And also testosterone is so low in young males these days, just because it's getting worse and worse. So I thought that's such a good offer to the world.
Yeah, we just back it. We just believe that. So it'll just be cool.
So like steroids for people.
You know what's interesting is that we used to give pancreas, and it was pig pancreas, to type 1 diabetics, and back in the 50s, before it was synthesized, because it had the insulin in it in order for those diabetics, they couldn't produce their own. So you're just saying what we've actually known forever and ever, and as we see in native wisdom, we have that. It's just that what's happened is that pharmaceuticals have taken over from natural foods, and food has everything in it. It's just that we have to find it within that food. And so that's what you guys are doing. And that's what I'm really excited about. It took us a while to source the good stuff, but we've sourced the good stuff.
How good is that? Yeah, Paul did a study, or he talks about a study, about how if you take heart, the enzymes and the minerals and everything go to your heart. So whatever organ you eat goes to that organ to heal it. Which is pretty tricky.
And like collagen, they watch with collagen and gelatin. It goes straight to connective tissue and joints and in the knees and stuff like that. So it makes sense. It's a like-for-like principle, right? It's a similar amino acid profile. So you can even break it down from a science perspective. Like it just makes sense, right?
Yeah.
It does, but common sense isn't common anymore. And that's what you boys are doing, is that you are creating common sense around healing, around health, around masculinity. And I just want to take my hat off to you too. I hear your name everywhere. I was at our local organic store in Britannia, and this young man says to me, "Are you Cindy?" And I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "I know you through the Corrective Culture boys, and I'm doing CHEK." And I went, and he was just a young man, and I just went, "Well done, congratulations." So I just, you are creating a ripple that will create a tsunami. And that's what we need in our young men at the moment. I think they're floundering really badly, and they need role models like you too in order to make changes in their life. And I would send anybody to, and I do send people to you all the time, especially young men. There was this young man, I don't know if he's come to you, but with really bad chronic fatigue. So I sent him to Kirsty, of course, because his gut was a mess. And then I sent him to you as well, because I thought between you guys and Cultured Wellness and Corrective Culture, I felt that he was in really good hands, because he was at the end of his tether and his parents were really concerned about him. So I'm so happy that you two are around, that I can send people to, that's what we need. Isn't that right, Kimmy?
It's such a massive compliment. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, you're welcome. You're very welcome.
I just think I agree with Cindy wholeheartedly, but nothing comes handed to us on a plate. You guys have really worked hard for this, and you've also learnt a lot. What I'd love to know is if someone's listening to this at home, they maybe got a back niggle, a shoulder niggle, maybe they get headaches, these little whispers, these little things that the body's saying to them. What would be your recommendation if they've got any little whispers? Is there anything they can do before they come to you, or is it best that they get a full assessment with someone like you?
Like just water, and those whispers are there for a reason. Like start with good water. and then start switching your food to organic. It's only called organic because, everything's sprayed these days, but we used to eat organic before pretty much 1940. So I would just say switch to an organic diet, shop at your local farmers, look into the soil and have good water. That's the hugest thing.
Yeah, and I'd say a really golden thing that, again, I was talking about before is hydrating the tissue and the fascia of the muscle. Like, we're all used to thinking trigger points are normal, right? But when I got into this tissue stuff, it's like I would spend almost 3 hours a day on myself for the first couple of weeks, and you actually can get rid of all these little trigger points, and they do go away, and a lot of them don't come back. But we're all used to thinking they're just normal, and they're not normal. They're just common, right? Because we live in a Western world. So it's like if you're sitting, like right now we're all sitting, our hip flexor has been shortened for like the last 40 minutes, whatever. That needs to be counted, because in nature that's not there. We're walking and you're going through a hip extension, you're stretching that and you're sprinting and rah, rah, rah. So a hip flexor stretch comes into play for sure. You'd be surprised how much a hip flexor stretch can decompress someone's lower back if it's lower back pain, right? Or, if the hip flexors are tight, it pulls the pelvis forward and it makes the rib cage flare, and then you can get shoulder issues. There's so many little things, but I think knowing how to hydrate your own tissue with a ball is absolute gold for lymphatic flow as well. Not just thinking about muscle feeling pain, but lymphatics and moving flow through the body like we're a plumber. So that's where our online program, the whole start of that, teaches all that. And I actually don't know. I wouldn't know where else to
I don't know
teach that. Like, I don't think there's anywhere that I know of anyway where it's all videos on how to release pretty well your whole body. And a cool story is we had a girl with a swollen hand. She wrote in, did our online program. Never met her, but she had a swollen hand for 2 years. And she said she did all these tests and saw these therapists. And she goes, in the online program, she goes, it just went away. And I don't know why it went away, right? But I know that it was the tissue work that did it. But the cool thing was there was no one part of that program that actually did the arm. And there is tissue work for the arm, but we just didn't prioritize it. So it means there was a blockage somewhere in her thorax or the rest of her body that was causing a pooling at the hand, that then it took that away from lymphatic flow. So I think that's not, people don't think about like that. I think all these muscles and that, it's all like separate things, but we forget that's a living, wet organism. And when you massage it, it wets it. So it slides and glides on the fascia and the bone, and the tissue all moves well and is healthy. And the older you get, if you go look at the science of it, the older you get, the drier you get. And there's a cool story of this girl, this French lady, I think she was 100, and they asked her why she could move so well. And she had a wine bottle, she drank wine. She had a wine bottle under her bed that she rolled out on every night. And it keeps your tissue young, and it stops you from drying out and losing mobility as you age. Because eventually, you see an old person, eventually they're not rotating to the rib cage, you start waddling. That's all dry tissue. If you keep that wet with tissue work, and then you just do a bit of motion, whatever that may be, you can live long without pain for a long, long time. And that's why I just believe in the foam rolling side of things so much, because I've seen it, and for my own body, it's just you feel so good afterwards,
Yeah, and we learnt from a few people, but Ian O'Dwyer was one of the main guys who showed us and taught us the concepts around fascia. He was amazing with it as well. So he's got some cool stuff as well.
Yeah.
Oh, I was thinking Cindy was going to jump in there, but what I'd love to know is...
I was writing down Ian O'Dwyer's name. And
I know, so. Just a very quick thing on the parasite cleanse, if you don't mind me asking. Can you tell us what's involved in that? Because some people, the thought of sending you a photo of their poo with a parasite in it may have just turned them off. So let's just talk a little bit more about the parasite cleanse.
Yeah, well, it's basically oregano oil and anti-parasitic herbs, all the basic anti-parasitic herbs you take. While also, and then you have the charcoal and the clay and the binders to help the detox process of it. But from a diet perspective, it's like an anti-candida diet, right? It's no sugar, but more than that, right? There's no veggie oils, no nuts or seeds, no grains, which I think is nice just for people that don't know, if they can handle it or not. It gives them that little, almost like a food intolerance test, without even realizing, because when they bring this stuff back after 4 weeks, they figure out if they can handle it or not. And so you're cutting out all the below ground veggies, except the basics like garlic and turmeric and stuff. So no sweet potato, no beetroot, but you can have pumpkin, which is above ground and anti-parasitic. No grains, no nuts or seeds, no fruit. You can have fermented fruit though, because it's got no sugar in it, right? But if you're willing to ferment, and no coffee, because I think caffeine, and I know there's so much good science on how good coffee is, right? And I still believe it's good. We still like it. But again, if you really connect to your body sometimes, like, when you're sick and you don't want a coffee, that says something to me. You know what I mean? Like, I'm basically addicted to coffee, but I'm sick. My body's like, nah, not today, you know? And it's like, if you get a headache without it, I think it's nice to have a break off coffee once in a while and just see how calm you actually can feel, because it does change people without realizing. It does change their thoughts, and it's nice to have a break and then bring it back in and just be in control of it. Otherwise, it's just another addiction.
Coffee's one of the most sprayed things as well. Like, either it gets sprayed when they grow it, but it also gets sprayed when they bring it into Australia as well. So it needs to be certified organic if you can.
Yeah, and like, you know, obviously changing habits have the amazing coffee. We got the coffee, and it's like most people aren't doing that though. Most people are going to the cafe and get coffee. And how often do they get an organic coffee? I don't even know one that does, right? So these little things, it's like,
it eliminates everything bad. Hey,
yeah,
it's like
all
a reset.
that shit.
It's a reset. And for me, like, the biggest thing I notice is like your emotional eating patterns. Like, you can't just go and get that chocolate out of the fridge or that treat that you've made out of the fridge unless it's a healthy one.
Yeah.
And then you got to sit there and be like, fuck, why do I really need this?
And you know what's cool? Because you got all these men like me, young men that all of a sudden are sitting there baking cacao treats and shit that they're never going to do, because they got to eat something and they want to eat that. So they're all of a sudden learning how to bake and cook. So everyone's cooking game steps up. Yeah. You definitely level up, and you feel like by the end of it, you feel like you're just a bit of I don't know. You know how
take responsibility for your life, hey? That's why it's so massive.
It's like when you do all these things of self-love, it like gives you confidence, and it's like you walk around with it almost. It's weird. It's like, it's unexpected. When we did it was just a parasite cleanse, but it grew into something a lot bigger than that. Yeah. And we've had some people. Here's a cool story. This chick from South Africa, she had she was told they thought she was going to get cancer next, but her health was really depleting. Her energy was gone, chronic fatigue, and they found holes all through her liver through the doctors. And this was 2 years of this in South Africa, right? And her and her partner wrote in, and they go, we both did the cleanse, and thousands of liver flukes came out of them. And we Googled the top symptom, and it's lesions on the liver. So they were healed on the spot. And this is one of those things that they probably were gone forever and never would have found that, you know? So many people have them. And it blew my mind. And we were taught in the CHEK stuff that a lot of people did, but I was still a little skeptical, to be honest, until we started releasing the cleanse, and I saw my clients like tapeworms. My friend did it the other day, and bulk worms came out of him, you know, and he had the symptoms to him too, but like grinding the teeth at night and the flaky hair and all those little bloating and things like that. It's just no one knows about it, and it's just, I don't know why. But Cindy would know all about it, you know, has for a long time.
Yeah.
I just remember when I did my first cleanse ever, which was all about worms, and it was a guy by the name of Bernard Jensen. And when he was in his 80s, he came to Australia and had a week-long conference with professionals, and I was a nutritionist by then. And he was with psyllium and bentonite. That's what he did it with, and with parasitic herbs. But his was a fast. There was no eating. It was just water.
Wow.
So people have known about this. It's just it's suppressed. And I heard somebody say, that's right, their daughter had worms. And so they went straight to the chemist and got Combantrum and gave them that. And I said, well, you're not thinking, what that's wiping out. We want to be making sure we're changing the environment, doing things like that. So, I had a chat to them. It's not in the psyche, and with you guys out there, you're creating more of a psyche around it, and that's what we need.
We want to make it worldwide.
People will want to do this after you've been talking about all the worms that will come out of them and how good they'll feel. So how do they find you?
Well, our Instagram's Corrective Culture. So, Corrective Culture. We got all our contents on that. And obviously our website with all the cleanse and on that, there's a write-up of that.
CorrectiveCulture.com.
Just CorrectiveCulture.com, yeah. And we have a podcast, Corrective Culture Podcast. Cindy's been on it. Kim's been on it. So you guys can listen to those 2 episodes. They're really cool, actually. Got to do another one soon.
Yeah, a YouTube channel.
Oh,
my God, we've got to come out to your farm and do a YouTube.
Oh, my God, dude. That's what we'll do. That's what we'll do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've so got to do that.
So we just decided we're going to go hard on YouTube. So now we're doing vlogs. We've done a couple. We just released them this week. But that's what we're going to do. We've got to come out to the farm and do a real cool one.
That'd be sick.
You're always welcome.
Yeah.
Yes, that'd be so good.
Well, I also want to add in that I had the privilege of interviewing you two on the Self-Love podcast, 2 words that we've both used a little bit here in this podcast, which I absolutely love. To hear young men talking about self-love is just music to my ears. But that was show 47 on the Self-Love podcast, for anyone interested.
That was such a good chat.
Oh, my gosh, we need more. And I just want to say on behalf of Cindy and I how much We love having you guys out there as role models, people that we can send younger people to, but also people in our age group are really benefiting from your work. So I would love to just say on behalf of us, congratulations, huge kudos, and just want you both to know how much we adore you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
we love.
means
Thank
so much.
you.
Love so much.
Yeah.
It's cool. It's like mother energy. It's nice, you know.
Yeah, people leading the way. Like we don't have a lot of mentors, especially in Australia, that are really living and breathing it. And with that, we aspire to be just like you guys. So,
well,
good to hear. Good to hear.
We'll take you on as our sons.
Yes, we will. And thank you for your time. It's just wonderful.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys.
Thanks, Steve. That was awesome chat.
Yes.
Time for a quick break on Up for a Chat to share our favourite products.
One of the most powerful things you can do to connect in with your body is to boost it every single day with a beautiful massage. And one of the things I highly recommend, and I've been teaching for over 3 decades, is the Body Boost ritual. This amazing, incredible daily ritual supports you to connect into your body, to become aware of your body so that you can be conscious of the whispers, so that you too can take care of yourself and go to the right people, the right therapies, and use the right modalities, exactly what your body needs. So the Body Boost is available at 28.com. Just in the search button, put Body Boost, and there is a whole range of different flavors and beautiful video. I'm not naked, but you'll see a video in there of me teaching you how to do that on a daily basis. It's a game changer.
Changing Habits has a new probiotic. It's an organic probiotic, and it's a 3-in-1 biotic blend, including probiotics, prebiotics, and postbiotics. We have a mix of Lactobacillus, Saccharomyces, Bifidus, and our carrier is inulin from artichokes. So these not only can be taken in water, but it can also be used to ferment your foods. So you can ferment all your juices. I make apple cider, not vinegar. If you go too far, it's vinegar, but I make apple ciders. I make all sorts of different juices and then pull the juice out of it by fermenting it with these probiotics. You can also do it with coconut water, coconut cream, and you can do it with fruit as well to take the sugar out of the fruit. So that's from changinghabits.com.au.
This has been a production of TheWellnessCouch.com. Check us out on Facebook and join in the conversation on Facebook.com/TheWellnessCouch. Subscribe to each show on iTunes and check us out on Twitter. The Wellness Couch, streaming wellness into your lives.
Whilst the Wellness Couch presenter endeavor to provide accurate and helpful information to their listeners, these podcasts cannot take into account individual circumstances and are not intended to be a substitute for health and medical advice from a qualified health professional. You should always seek the advice of a qualified health professional before acting on any of the information provided by any of the Wellness Couch podcasts.